introduction. The genesis of the Govindas Sundardas Medical College was laid when graduates of the Grand Medical College, which was founded in 1845, were denied posts of professors in their own alma mater. Although many of these consultants in the 55 years since the college was founded had become eminent in their own field, had made several research and clinical contributions, and had acquired professional diplomas and degrees in England, including the fellowship of the Royal College of Surgeons, membership of the Royal College of Physicians, they were not being enrolled as teachers in their own alma mater. This is because the British officers of the Indian Medical Service were jealous to maintain their own primacy in the field, and often they would appoint professors who were very junior and much less qualified to our own Grand Medical College consultants. Now, these senior consultants got together and they formed the Bombay Medical Union in 1883 for a number of purposes, one of which was to fight for their rights in their own alma mater. And as you can see, the names are each of them very, very distinguished individuals. Dr. Atmaram Pandurang Karkar was in fact a member of the very first batch of students of the Grand Medical College in 1845. And none of these names actually need any introduction because they have made their mark in the field of medicine in Bombay. Two things happened which propelled the formation of a new medical college, even against the wishes of the Indian Medical Service. Up to about 1907, the Municipal Corporation of Bombay was in charge of the police. And so they had to look after the security of the city, since the police were directly under the Bombay Municipal Corporation. Health and health facilities were under the government of Bombay. Hansa Mehta and a number of others had been waging an incessant and protracted fight, both in the Legislative Council and in the Municipal Corporation, to transfer the police to the government and medical education and medical services to the Municipal Corporation. This finally materialized when Act number 3 of 1907 was passed. The city was relieved of the liability of police charges, and medical relief and education were transferred to the Municipal Corporation. This laid the foundations for a medical college. A medical college had been proposed as early as 1880. Atmaram Pandurang had suggested that the GT Hospital, Gokuldas Tejpal Hospital, be converted into a medical college and Indians appointed as consultant teachers over there. This the government had rejected and had dumped. After the passage of the Police Act, the Municipal Corporation, which was then headed by many of our stalwarts, including Sir Firozshah Mehta, felt that the grounds had been laid for creating a new medical college in the labor area of Bombay, which was the mill area of Parel and Lalbagh. And so they proposed that a medical college and hospital be set up in Parel and Lalbagh in that area to cater to the poor mill workers and to look after their health. And this proposal was gaining ground. The problem was finding funds for the medical college. And that is when another important act of nature occurred. Now, the individual you see in front of you on the screen is Mulji Jetha. He was the founder of a fairly large business empire in Bombay at that time. And the Mulji Jetha market continues to flourish in Bombay even today. Mulji Jetha died in 1889. His son, Sundar Das Mulji, had predeceased him. And so now there were two grandchildren, Dharamsi Sundar Das and Gordhan Das Sundar Das. Dharamsi Sundar Das had died in 1889, leaving behind him his son Karsan Das. Gordhan Das had married a lady called Gangabai, but they had no children. So they had adopted Chaturbhuj Gordhan Das as their son. When Gordhan Das Sundar Das died in 1902, Karsan Das, greedy for grabbing the entire Mulji Jetha establishment, demanded that the entire estate of Mulji Jetha be transferred to him because Chaturbhuj was only an adopted son and not a genetically related son. So there was a big protracted battle because the amounts involved were huge at that time. This is Gordhan Das Sundar Das. He had died in 1902, and at his death, there was this battle for the Mulji Jetha Empire. So the courts appointed 3 individuals to negotiate with the heirs of Mulji Jetha and to see whether this could be resolved. And these 3 people were Firozshah Mehta, Sir Chimandal Settlewal, and Mr. Narayan Chandawal. They were successful in their mission, and they were able to restore peace between the adopted son and the claimant to the Mulji Jetha Empire. And so a settlement was made, but as a price for having engineered this settlement, they made it a condition that from the funds of the Mulji Jetha Empire, a certain amount be set aside for the creation of a medical college. And this was the beginning of the medical college, which was eventually named after Gordhan Das Sundar Das. And this is the medical college which eventually resulted. And here we have a plaque which is visible in the campus of the college and hospital even today. And as you can see from the paragraph right at the top, the executors of Seth Gordhan Das Sundar Das had contributed 14,50,000 towards the creation of the college. The college was to be maintained by the municipal corporation of Bombay. 14.5 lakhs was a huge amount of money in those days. And then the college started working in June 1925, although the formal opening was on the 22nd of January 1926, along with the opening of the hospital. And Dr. Jivraj Mehta was the first dean. The architect was George Whitted, whose portrait you saw. And George Whitted died young in Bombay. And when he died, he had been buried in the Sidri cemetery. Unfortunately, the memorial plaque is not as pristine as it is seen in this photograph. It is somewhat dilapidated with the passage of time. Now we come to the hospital. Edward VII was the son of Victoria and Albert, and like the present King of England, King Charles III, he had to wait for a long, long time before his mother passed away and he could become king. He had visited India in 1875. He came to Bombay in what was called Government House. Government House is today, and the king and his retinue had occupied the whole of Government House at that particular time. He died on the 10th of May, 6th of May, 1910. And when he died, the citizens of the British Empire, as it was then, voted to create a memorial unto him. And for us, most of them decided to create a hospital in his memory to be called the King Edward VII Hospital. Other places. Here are some names at the bottom in the last line of where these King Edward VII Memorial Hospital can be found. There was a King Edward VII Memorial Hospital in London, founded in 1899. That is when the king was alive, and in fact, he was the patron of that hospital. So that was not a memorial hospital in that sense. And this is the hospital which resulted. The architect was George Whitted. And as you can see, it's a ground floor and first floor structure. On the terrace, you see all these domes. Today, we have ground floor, first floor, second floor. And on the terrace, there are no domes because the domes had to be removed in order to be able to create the second floor. There are domes on the Wadia Hospital for children and the Wadia Hospital for women, which were also designed by Whitted. And since they did not need an extension in an upward direction, their domes have been preserved. Here is the memorial plaque to King Edward VII. And you can see the different donations which were made in order to be able to create this hospital. The government of Bombay donated 5 lakhs, and that the government also gave them the site, which was the site that was part of the campus of the old government house, and that was valued at 5 lakhs. Then a contribution was received from the King Edward VII Memorial Association, which was 7 lakhs, and there were other donations. So these donations are all mentioned on this particular plaque, and this plaque, fortunately, is also in very good shape in the campus of the institution. When Dr. Hansa Mehta was appointed as the dean, and when he was asked to start the college, he enrolled as teachers a number of very, very eminent clinicians. And I have enlarged the names of the prominent physicians and surgeons on the right-hand side because the small print on the left column is not very clearly visible. And you can see that it included individuals like Dr. M.D.D. Gilder, Dr. P.C. Barucha, Dr. Erulkar, Purushottam Patel, G.V. Deshmukh, Rustam Cooper, Shirvalkar, B.L. Parmar, N.A. Purandare, Herculano D'Souza, Herculano Disa, and Mrs. Dosibai Dadabai. And you can just about see at the bottom the name of Dr. Khanolkar, who was the professor of pathology. These individuals, under the guidance of Dr. Jivraj Mehta, made an outstanding statement. They decided that they would be teachers in the medical college, but none of them would be professors, and there would be no hierarchy, head of the department, professor, assistant professor. They were all equal, and they termed themselves lecturers. So MDD Gilder was a lecturer in medicine, Barucha was a lecturer in medicine, G.V. Deshmukh was a lecturer in surgery, Bacha was a lecturer in surgery. This kind of uniformity of status and the avoidance of hierarchy made for coordinated functioning, and their stated aim was that we are going to ensure that this medical college and this hospital will outshine the government hospital and medical college which are being run by the Indian Medical Service Office. And with Dr. Jivraj Mehta at the helm, they made sure that the reputation of the KEM rose very rapidly, and in a few years, the KEM hospital was at least on par with the JJ hospital, and the Godandas Sundardas Medical College was at least on par with the Grand Medical College. All because of the selfless service which was provided by the first batch of teachers. Now, I've shown you two photographs of Dr. Jivraj Mehta. One is when he had just returned from England, suited and booted, and the other when he became Chief Minister of Gujarat and then eventually went on to other appointments. But you will notice that I have also shown you his wife, Hansa Mehta, and I have a reason for doing that. Hansa Mehta deserves at least as much respect as Dr. Jivraj Mehta himself. Dr. Hansa Mehta was a member of the United Nations Charter Committee. While she was a member of the Charter Committee of the United Nations, she noticed a statement in the charter which was being written, saying all men are born equal. As a member of that committee, she objected. How can you say all men are created equal? What about the women? And she made them change the charter. And if you read the charter today, it reads, all persons are equal. And she was to keep fighting for women's rights throughout her life. Another distinctive appointment which she held was to be a member of the Constituent Assembly, which laid down the Constitution of India. And so she was a partner to Ambedkar and to all the others who laid down the Indian Constitution. And even in the Indian Constitution, when it was being written, she ensured that women were given their proper position and their proper rights. This is a photograph of the very first batch of students. I can just about identify Dr. Rustam Cooper over here. This is Dr. Jivraj Mehta. I'm afraid I can't identify many of the others, and I certainly cannot identify Mr. Suvarna, who was later to become a very eminent surgeon and who was a member of this first batch. So this is how the college and the hospital started. I'd like to end with a plea, a request to the administrators of the hospital. This is what the emblem of the medical college and hospital looks like today. It features a staff with wings on it, and it features two serpents. Unfortunately, this is medically incorrect because the wings belong to Hermes, who was the god of speed, among other things. And Hermes, with his staff, had 2 serpents. But what we as physicians are interested in is the staff of Aesculapius. Aesculapius was the Greek god of medicine in ancient times. And as you can see from the statue on the left-hand side, Aesculapius had a single serpent around the staff and no wings. Why did he have serpents? Because in the ancient Aesculapian temples, they believed that serpents promote healing. And in those temples, we are told that while the patients were in the wards, all around them, there were serpents slithering hither and thither. I presume that these were all non-venomous snakes, but snakes, because they mold and because they go on regenerating their skin, they were supposed to be, for that reason and for other reasons, the promoters of healing. And that is why the staff of Aesculapius has 1 serpent and Aesculapius' staff. We need to make this change in our emblem in order to be historically correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pandya.